Hey, how you doing? You got John Riggs here. Super Nintendo Classic Edition has been announced. The Super Famicom Classic Edition also announced. The European version was pre-order for a little while. I was able to grab one of those, so I'm at least getting the European version. I like how the European version looks. I dig the controller and all that. I would like to get a US version of it as well, and the Super Famicom Classic Edition, that should be cool too. Because it has a few different games on there than the US one. Now, the US one is full of games, but the Japanese version is not getting Earthbound, it's not getting Castlevania 4, it's not getting, a few other games too. And the Japanese version is getting Legend of the Mystical Ninja, which got me thinking, there's some other games on the US version of the system, the US Super Nintendo, not Super Famicom, Super Nintendo Classic Edition, that are curiously left out. And I say curious because it's not just like, here are the 10 games that I wanted to see on this system. It's not just me saying like, oh man, Chrono Trigger should have been on there, EVO should have been on there, we should have had, Wild Guns, and, Skulljagger, which is another game in and of itself. They're not putting Skulljagger on a system like this just for me. But here are 10 games, and I grabbed these from my collection. Here are 10 games that should have been at least considered. I'm sure they were considered, but they should have been on this system too. Maybe even in replace or instead of a game or two. Now the system itself, it's already packed with gold, and every single game on there deserves a spot on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. But I did want to point out, now the Japanese version is going to get this, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is my number one pick here. Legend of the Mystical Ninja, if they're getting it in Japan, we should have got it in America. It's already done, it's already finished. With less stickers, of course, but Legend of the Mystical Ninja should have been on the US version of the system there too. Another game that should have been, man, it was a launch game. It's all about Mode 7. Pilot Wings? Are you kidding me? Again with the stickers. Pilot Wings absolutely should have been one on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. You know what's another game that I think should have been, and this is not just me saying my favorite games, because I don't actually necessarily even care for this game much. I played it a lot because it was available. That's SimCity. I like the music to it. It was fun, but how is this not on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition? It should have been. SimCity, are you kidding me? Love me some SimCity. Well, not as much as I could have or should have, but another one I wanted to add, and just so you know, Chrono Trigger is not on this list. I wanted to say they were beefing with like Square Enix and Nintendo, but then on the other hand, Secret of Mana is on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So I don't know about that. I don't know what's going on there. Chrono Trigger probably should have been. That's going to be the gimme. But Turtles 2, Turtles 2, Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, another great game, should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Again, not my pick, not my favorite games, although Turtles 4 is one of my favorite games. There have Final Fantasy 3. Why don't you have Final Fantasy 2, man? In my opinion, unpopular opinion, in my opinion, this is a better game than Final Fantasy 3, and I love Final Fantasy 3. But this game holds a lot more true, dear to my heart, is Final Fantasy 2. Another game I think should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, Actraiser. Oh my goodness, Actraiser, when it first came out, it was a breath of fresh air. Holy moly, Actraiser. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's in my top 5 favorite games of all time. But should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Another great game too. Another great shmup here. Man, my cart's seen better days. I haven't cleaned it because I don't plan on selling it. UN Squadron. I have no idea what that is, man. But it works. It works. That's all that matters. So UN Squadron should have been up there too on the US release of the Classic Edition. Capcom has some great games on there, man. Capcom pulling out great games on the Super Ghouls and Ghosts. You got Super Street Fighter 2. We don't have Final Fight? Now this game should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition for sure. Even if it was this version, even if it wasn't like Final Fight Guy, even if it was this version, I would have been super stoked. Of course, I can just play that version too. I understand that. And then I'll do the less obvious, and then the super obvious. Less obvious, just because for variety. Earthworm Jim, great game. It's not on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Seriously, you're not gonna throw that on there? Maybe it's because it's not an exclusive to Nintendo, and I understand that too, I suppose. But really, out of all the games, now, Pilot Wings, to me, was the number one, really. You're not going to put this on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. It was all about Mode 7, man. That's what it was all about. But another game that you should have absolutely have seen, Mario All-Stars. It's Mario's 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the Lost Levels. Oh, not 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 in the Lost Levels. You already have Super Mario World on there, and that's cool too, but that's that. So those are my 10 games that should have been. These are curiously missing from the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. I don't know why they're not included. And again, this isn't necessarily my 10 favorite game. My 10 favorite games may have been, yeah, a couple of these, like Actraiser, Pilo Wings, but then that's also when you get into like the EVO. It's when you get into like Super R-Type. Gradius 3 should have been on the system as well. A lot of great games that could have and maybe should have been on there. Sunset Riders, of course, comes to mind as well. A lot of great games out there. And then, of course, my more obscure games like Lagoon, like Young Merlin. Some of the Spanky's Quest. I love Spanky's Quest. Goof Troop. Come on, Capcom. How come we don't see Goof Troop on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition? Goof Troop's one of my favorite action puzzle games on the Super Nintendo. You're not going to see that one on there? Well, those are my top 10, and what about you? I want to hear from you in the comments below. What are some games that should have been on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition? I'm still excited for it. And yeah, of course, maybe later on someone's going to hack it, probably within the first week, and then you can add whatever games you want on there in the first place. But that aside, you know, it should have been default, you know what I mean? So, in the meantime, let me know in the comments below. Take care. I think you're awesome, and we'll see you later, all right?